know about the human rights. But we decided that we're going to continue with the human rights and have awards. So that's what the two groups have won. It's kind of complicated, and I guess we should introduce everyone in the group.
Hi, I'm Bob Malcolm. I've been on the board for about 8 or 9 years already, so
Forever.
And I'm Ruth Elder. If you emailed the council, you probably got email from me. I was the council staff when we were part of county government for a long time, 13 years or something. And then when we started becoming a community organization, I just tagged along.
And like I said, I'm Cora Eklund. And you're here? Oh, I'm in charge at Vice. So. Our president is on a cruise, so we're kind of annoyed with her. So.
Hi, I'm Bernie Season, and I guess I'm one of the secretaries, and I've been on the council at least as long as Bob. I've been kind of dereliction of duty in the past couple of months, but I'm back. And to my right is Linda.
My name's Linda Mata, and I've been a member of the council now for about 2 years.
At least.
Longer.
I think so, yeah. That's the mother of a girl who got the Youth Diversity Award.
Oh, yeah, twice.
Yeah. And I'm Molly Overbilling, and I've been on the council for 20 years.
Oh, I'm Billy Clark, and I don't remember how long I've been on the council, but it's a
Seems
long time.
Forever.
Long time.
Welcome.
What?
Welcome.
Oh. We have 2 awards tonight, and what we'll do is we'll give out the award and hopefully get a photograph of you. And then you can use the podium and you can speak about what your organization does and what you want to communicate with people. So I guess the best way to start is with the first award is for the Community Youth Services group in Olympia, and for lifetime achievement because they have been around for a long time. And so I don't know who is representing. Our Charles is. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
why don't you go ahead and, give us information about what your group does, because
Okay.
I know you're part of Rose's Place and
Right.
other things.
I think the probably the reason that I was told we received this is on the basis of the long-term commitment we've had. Well, basically, long-term commitment of social justice. Hi, Jill. One of our board of directors, Jill Goddard, back here. And we'll let me just introduce Scott Hanauer, our clinical director, and Dave Chogren, our director of Rosie's Place and several other programs. Do we have any other staff and board members here? No. But at any rate, I wanted to thank the council on behalf of the staff, the board, and the 130 volunteers we have at CYS. And my understanding is, again, is that we received the award based on our long-term commitment and working in the social justice field and working with high-risk young people who are on the streets. And we have, this goes back, I think we started in about 1982, working in these areas, actually about 82. Working, opening up Haven House, which is a shelter for teens, and we served over 7,000 teens in that facility during that period of time. 300 in the course of a year, 300 different admissions. That's teenagers and younger, up to from 12 to 17. And then there's still a lot of young people out on the street who either don't services or who are older than can be qualified to go into a Haven House. And we have an outreach program that has worked the streets of Thurston County. First, it was supported through a grant from the City of Olympia for a number of years. Then we received funding from the federal government. Both those sources have dried up, and we are using other resources and have had to scale back our efforts quite a bit. But we're still committed to working very intently with that population. And many years ago, remember Bread and Roses? They were doing a yeoman's job of working with a really high-risk population. But coming from the child welfare field, I was always concerned to see a 16-year-old female runaway sitting next to older people who were not background checked at all and could be coming from pretty tough backgrounds, and wanted to separate the kids from the adults, and felt that a drop-in day center for high-risk street-affected youth, young adults and youth, would be warranted in Olympia. We looked at a program in Portland, I believe it's called the Outside In, isn't it, Dave? And one in Seattle called the Orion Center. And we did quite a bit of visits back and forth, and we came up on a model that was similar to those where we had opened up a day center for youth. It's been about 7 years now, I believe. And for teenagers up to 21 years of age. And our goal is to engage, again, high-risk, street-affected young people, to bring them in, to provide services, get them out of the cold, give them breakfast, give them lunch, hook them up with a caseworker, case manager if they want. It's all voluntary on their part. And then start developing the trust and rapport with them to get them into services at CYS. Well, I call it doors of opportunity, because you can go down our hall and you can knock on the doors of opportunity. A young person, once they get on their feet and get shelter, they can also participate in our transitional housing program. We have a transitional housing program that houses 70 people, 70 slots in Thurston County. But you didn't know that. 70. We have multiple funding sources at federal, state, and local that support that. And those 70 young people, again, 18 to 21, 22 years old mostly, have 36 children as well. So we own some apartment buildings, some duplexes, and then we lease from Housing Authority and other landlords as well. But as we all know, simply the answer to homelessness is just not a house, because many people are homeless because of other major barriers they have to be able to live stably, whether it be mental health issues, whether it be substance abuse issues, or just plain old oppositional issues. And our goal is to work with them and get them into resources and help stabilize them so they can be successful living in our transitional housing program. Now, Rosie's itself is it has been an evolving story, because it started. Maureen McLemore, who was our first overall director of Rosie's Place, said that having Rosie's Place at the CYS building is like having a discotheque in the library. Any of you been to Rosie's Place? No. Okay, it gets a little rowdy sometimes because, again, people coming in from the streets, and it gets a little smelly sometimes as well. I am very proud of the culture that we have developed there, a culture of tolerance, a culture of acceptance, a culture of social justice, and a culture of assistance, but also one in which there's lots of responsibilities that are maintained as well. And that, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort to develop and mold and create a culture. Someday maybe it'll be out of our building and we'll have it in an independent location. But with the poor economic times we have now, we're just glad to have it, period. And it's working, I think, pretty well in the building. Again, they can get access to a myriad of services, employment, training through community services, the housing. And in the last couple of months, last year, we have housed a representative from the mental health clinic, VHR, to be on site as well. We have representatives coming from substance abuse outreach programs to there's a lot of resources they can get at Rosie's Place. We are really, really challenged with terrible economic times right now, and we have been able to dodge the bullet for a number of years in terms of being able to avoid some of the terrible cuts. And the legislature went in special session November 28th, and one of the first things that DSHS put on the chopping block was street use money. And it was about $1.7 million of street use money distributed throughout the state of Washington. 98, I think it was 98,000 or so goes to CYS to run Rosie's Place. That's one of the major funding sources. The federal funding source that helped, we didn't get renewed. It didn't get renewed a year or so ago. So we keep trying each year to get that renewed again. But if they pull the plug on the state funds, we would be in really a lot of difficulty. We are working with the City of Olympia and Interfaith Works right now on the new project to work with it for a single point of access for the homeless. You're all probably familiar with that, many of you are. And as a piece of that, we have a little bit of money that's helping keep Rosie open extended hours into the evening. But that project really depends on volunteers. If any of you know people who would like to help out, be a volunteer at Rosie's Place to help us be able to keep those doors open after 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening, please let us know. You can come up to Day or I afterwards, or just go on our website and do some maneuvering. I know you can do that. Just get on there and click away. But at any rate, we are eager to have volunteers. Of course, all the volunteers that come through, you have to go through background check and all that. That can take, how long a day? A couple of weeks to a month? Or
3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay. So at any rate, I want to extend my appreciation to the council and really thank our community for its generosity, its support, its openness, and its tolerance, even though we don't feel that sometimes, but it's a great community. So thank you a lot.
Donations from the community, and who, if people want to donate, who they should donate to?
I'll just repeat that. I'm sure all of you didn't hear that. But the vice chair asked if we accept donations. Do you know a nonprofit agency that doesn't accept donations? Oh, yeah.
Who
So,
do we make it check out to or mail
well,
it to?
you can make it to, again, you can go on our website. You can just Google Community Youth Services Olympia. And we have a development director named Susan Alexander, or you can contact Barb. And contributions can be sent. In fact, we just sent out a letter just recently, and we're getting pretty good response to the letter. We're getting incredible, what we call in-kind contributions right now. There's an article in the paper last week, a local group brought in, they must have brought in 200 jackets for kids. So we're getting a lot of Christmas presents and a lot of nice gift cards and things of that sort now. So again, that's what I mean, what an outstanding community we live in. We don't have deep pockets in Olympia, Thurston County. We have gigantic hearts, and it's a great place to work. Any other questions?
Do you get any funding from United Way?
We do. We get just a little bit of funding for Rosie's Place from United Way. I'm trying to think how much it is.
About
$13,000, $13,000. Yeah.
So if we have some leverage on that.
Yeah, and a little bit of from the Human Services Review Council. It really costs several $100,000 a year to keep Rosie's open with it. Because Rosie's Place is really, have any of you ever worked in a group home? Okay. I look at it as a day group home. Because you have staff that are on the floor, and you have to be really watching what's going on. You have to be really aware. It's like a classroom teacher with more eyes and ears. Just know what's going on. So it's, you have to be on your P's and Q's all the time. There's lots of issues young people are struggling with. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you, and thank you, Jill, for coming and supporting CYS the way you have.
And I would also like to comment that a lot of what you do is definitely part of what the United Nations definition of human rights, basic human rights
Can I just make one political commentary? I just got back from Australia. Our daughter's doing a master's in Melbourne, Australia. And have you ever traveled to Australia? Yeah. And I was in the southern part of the country, in Tasmania. You can walk down Olympia, downtown Olympia, you can see quite a few homeless people, right? I had to really work in a city of 4.7 million to find homeless in Melbourne, Australia. It's because they had developed a social safety net that provides for their citizens. And what we've done as a country, the last 30 years, is strip our social safety net away. We have had the biggest transfer of wealth from middle class to the higher, upper income people, ultra wealthy. I think one of the greatest disparities in the history, in our country's history, is as bad now as it's been since 1929. And we have got, that's why I'm so appreciative of the Occupy movement. We have got to make our voices heard. We may not like what, we may not be satisfied that President Obama hasn't done everything we wanted. But my God, look at the alternative that's facing us. We have got to support progressive policies that will turn our country back and help in the success of a country. And I was a Peace Corps in Korea and saw a middle class evolve in the early 70s. The success of a country is really dependent on developing, supporting, and maintaining a robust middle class that's not afraid of getting sick and going bankrupt, not afraid of being one check away from being homeless. That's total bullshit. We've got to make our voices known. We've got to get active in this next election, and we've got to move our country in a positive direction. It's right now, compared to other industrialized nations, we are living, it's a disgrace where we are right now.
Well, thank you for the segue right into our next award, which is for a unique achievement, and it's the Occupy Olympia group, and I'm not sure who's going to be.
All of us.
Yes.
Is there anyone in particular who will be accepting this award? I don't know.
We do everything.
We have consensus for it.
We'll talk about it for an hour.
Mic check.
Mic check. All right, let's go. Great idea, Leon.
I'll take video if you want to read your speechy thing.
can find somebody else.
No, I don't care. It's fine.
I'm going to hold this up here.
Let them hold it.
Yeah, okay. Also, here. How tall are you? We'll let you have it.
Is this live streaming? Ray. How long are we going to sit here?
Say some words. I'm the word.
Okay, well, just one person, at least one person.
But y'all can stay right here while I'm saying. Sure. First of all, thank you very much. It feels really important to just keep being visible, and you're helping us to stay visible. that the spirit of this movement is just getting stronger and more effective every day. That's what I have to say. Anybody else want to add something?
The first thing I'm going to do is give you each an Occupy Olympia button. So go ahead and pass them around. If you have one already, don't take one. Because what we did, Thurston Diversity Network, what we did is we sold those for Occupy for $3 each, so you're getting free. But I suspect we'll need more money in the future as well, so that's one part. And why don't you go ahead, and I have something I want to say too.
Okay. You can judge a society by how they treat their weakest members. By the words of Mahatma Gandhi, our society, in the throes of darkness, is so consumed by treachery that it cannot find hope for the oppressed, for the weak, for the sick, for the disadvantaged, for the lost. We do not have to lose sight of hope. We merely have to recreate a compassionate society. As long as there are those who recognize the noble efforts put forth by those advocating change in a failing system, we will always have hope. Thank you for supporting us in our efforts to repair a broken system. With renewed hope, we will honor this award by continuing our work. My name is Monty Kotzenberger. I'm with Occupy Olympia Media.
The day that the camp was dispersed by riot police, contingent from Occupy went into an abandoned building, and the intent was to develop an Occupy community center. And I like that vision, and I think it can still happen. So I'm just putting it out there that we were serving the homeless. We were more than just a political movement. We were a caring movement, and I think it can continue.
I'd like to say something too. My name is Sherry Goulet, and I'm with Thurston County Progressive Network. And I read this on the internet, but it's about our nation. And someone was saying, you know, we're a nation now where poor people do not eat, and workers do not work, and we're a nation where the sick die, and children go hungry. And we're half of our population now is either at or below the poverty level. And so whatever else you heard, wherever you heard it about, oh, just a bunch of lazy kids, just a bunch of homeless, that isn't true. But you know what? There are some of all of those, and they're at every level of society, not just the low end. And what struck me, what really struck me, is I know that some of the representatives from Occupy went to meet with state people about a place, and the state was said, well, we have no money for anything, and then they kind of moved it off to the faith community, which I know has responded as well as they can. But it just became clear to me at that point that if you ever read Animal Farm, George Orwell, some people are more equal than others. And it's like, what? So these folks, some of them were really not pleasant people, I have to say, when I was down there, you know, with the addiction problems and whatever. And as Charles said, you know, maybe don't smell so good or don't speak in a way that is very palatable. But they're humans. They're not just dirt that you kick away when you don't like it. We don't do that to other levels of society. And so it just became so clear to me in being there, and I didn't do near what these people did, but it became really clear to me that we have now said that our financial system has more relevance and is more important than our democracy. And we have to move away from that. Whatever bad things you hear about Occupy, whatever bad things you hear, I am going to give to you all, and I hope you pass it along, and I'll send it to you digitally if you want.
Sure, that's great.
But this is the letter, and Monty, where we are. Yeah, there you are. So I don't know who wrote this. This is the letter to Governor Gregoire, and who?
group of us read
Yeah, it is just astounding and amazing, and it exemplifies what Occupy is all about. And I just have to say, please read it, and if you want me to send it to you digitally,
Would you
I'm
please?
happy to
That'd be
do that.
great. And then I'll send it
Sorry, I
out
didn't
to
know how
our
many
group.
people were coming.
Is it okay with you if we publicize it more widely? Okay, because we have a couple of
It's
like,
on the
you know,
website, too.
associate lists and stuff, so we'll send the link to your
Right.
website.
And it exemplifies what Occupy is really about. And I'm an English teacher. I could not have written that letter. I just almost cried after I read it. And I thought, this is what it's about right here. So I just have to say I'm humbled by the folks who have been out there on the line, speaking, standing, and really putting up with a lot of negativity from some elements. Not all. There's a lot of supporters. I will tell you, there's a lot of supporters of Occupy. And I have to thank you all, because Time Magazine just lately made the protester their person of the year. But the Thurston Diversity Council was ahead of them. And before Thanksgiving, Ruth called me, just because she knew, not because I'm anything, but because she knew me, or I was the connection from the Progressive Network. But she called me and told me, that they had made Occupy their recipient of the Human Rights Award. And, it made my day, And so I just have to say, with great humility, thank you very much. I know you weren't maybe down there, and I know you heard all the negative stuff, but you saw through all of that, and you saw the ideals, and thank you for that. So that's what happened.
I also wanted to let you know that since we started as the Thurston Council on Cultural Diversity and Human Rights, that was, I don't even know how many years ago that was.
1990.
Okay, well ever since then, as an organization, we've noticed that funding and organizations that benefit other people have been dropping off and disappearing, and it's been kind of alarming. So this is one way we can say, hey,
Well, good for you.
it's important.
Good for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
What I recommend that, even though it may have been high school when you last read it, Grapes of Wrath.
Yes.
I just reread it. It's depressing, but I was one of them. And it brought back lots of memories.
Thank you.
This will be brief, but one thing I'd like to point out about the Occupy movement that's really amazing is we have no funding at all other than donations from concerned community members, but we did a lot with very, very little, and I think that can be an inspiration to others as these cuts keep coming down and the picture gets more bleak. You can do a lot with a little if you get the community on your side and you give them a vision that they can believe in and want to be a part of. And that to me is really the most amazing thing about Occupy. It's energized people and it's involved people, and it gives us a model for moving forward.
Part of what we wanted to do is give both organizations a chance to speak about what they do and what they think is important. So I was really glad to have so many people making comments. Did you have a comment?
Yes, as a supporter of Occupy Olympia, not as a camper, I wasn't able to help in that regard. But I've read or heard comments about the fact that Occupy doesn't have a demand, Occupy is nebulous, and the Occupy movement doesn't know what it wants. And to that, even if those things were true, one of the great things to do is to stand up and say, this is wrong. And that's what Occupy has really centered America's eyesight on now, is that this is wrong what's going on. And I appreciate that for that.
So is there anyone else who wants to comment? Okay.
I think just to tag team off of what she just said, my name is Leon, and I think that speaks to the power of the Occupy movement, because it can't be articulate that in a way so as powerfully as the Occupy movement. And I just wanted to also to reflect that I feel really inspired because it's also important to remember that people who contributed to the camp, there were so many different ways that people contributed. People who camped, people that supported in any way that they could, simply forwarding things on email and Facebook, and that's supporting. And that there's no hierarchy of participation in the Occupy movement. People can participate in any way that they could, and we accept and we include and listen to and honor the voices of everyone who participates. That's part of the process. So it's very inspirational also to remember that the Occupy movement is not about the physical camp, and so that's something that we've been talking about a lot. It's a movement that you can't evict an idea, you know. So it's something that is continuing to evolve and grow, and I'm really excited to see how we will, you know, as the next few weeks and months continue, evolve to include even more people in the network and continue to move on to very, very powerful actions of many different types, which may involve physical occupations, but may involve lots of other types of actions and community building. So, thank you.
I would just like to invite you, if you're intrigued or curious, is it 1 o'clock?
Yes.
At the Capitol Rotunda every Sunday? Probably not this next Sunday, but
Right.
to come for a General Assembly meeting?
There will be one this coming Sunday, but it won't be inside.
It won't be inside.
It'll be probably pretty small.
But to me, over the next few weeks, I think the biggest things are going to be the Wednesday evenings at the Olympia Community Center with a more reflection and debriefing this Wednesday from 6 until 8. And then the week after that, more of a potluck and social and community building oriented gathering. The weekend after that, Wednesday the 28th.
So Leon,
From 6 until 8.
you need to get that to me, that information, so I can put it on our newsletter.
Right. It's on the website too,
Yeah.
But we will
Yeah.
make sure to publicize the schedule.
But I just wanted to say that since I've been going to Occupy Olympia, I've been transformed by the amazing, beautiful people that I meet there. The amazing conversations and the amazing knowledge base and the amazing creativity and intelligence and it's just, you can't get involved in this without having a profound personal change yourself. And I just throw that out and invite anyone that is interested, if you really want to grow as a human being, get involved in the Occupy.
I just want to thank you all for doing this and being so thoughtful and keeping your work on the council going. And happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I think that Leon talked about the elephant in the room, and people are still trying to figure out what that is a lot of the time, and there's a lot of disagreement about that, and that's good. And so we're trying to, one of the things that I care about is promoting those kind of conversations and being inclusive and working for a truly diverse movement where people with different ideas can work together and be friendly and kind and get along despite different styles and different understandings about the world. So, and it's not easy. And we definitely have a lot of challenges in terms of my approach is one that's cultural, and I like to look at things from that lens. And I think there's a lot of challenges with the way our system is set up and the types of ideas that were taught in school about our country and how great we are supposedly in the world. And so there's a lot of work to do, and it's sensitive work and it's tender, and people have a lot of feelings, and figuring out how to do that in a way that is affirming and uplifting is I think it's exciting and lot, and this, like everyone else said, this really helps and makes a big difference.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I imagine you're all hungry, so there's food over there. So go ahead.
Thank you. What's up, Dave? You made it.